to our Basha State of the School address. So this is our 6th Basha State of the School. Our audience has been large, it's been small, it's been large, it's been small, but we do use the videotape to, is that what we call it these days, videotape, to communicate to the rest of the community or potential parents. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate some of our Basha Bucket students right there who will be active participants in this conversation. Here we go. All right, so the Basha State of the School address, what it is it's just a time for me to share what our vision is, where we're going, what we have done as far as teaching and instructional focus, as well as aligning it to our district standards and district initiatives. So I always start off with the district aligned Journey 2025. Are we good? Okay. The Journey 2025 district initiative. So this is our strategic plan for the entire district. So this is what we build upon as far as our instructional goals to make sure that we meet academic excellence, outstanding staff, effective resource management, and a culture of success. So this year, I think I mentioned earlier in our PTO meetings, but this year we continued our focus from last year and right from the beginning. Did you girls use right from the beginning in your class? Mm-hmm. Right from the beginning encompasses thinking maps, which we started 5 years ago, and it's that cyclical piece to help them with the writing process, the students. So I'm not going to read out loud the goal, but basically we're going to use the Right from the Beginning and Beyond program to help enhance our students in the area of expository writing, and hopefully that will we'll look at our data towards the end of the school year when we get our AZ Merit scores back to see if we have grown. We look at our ATI Galileo testing too to make sure that there is growth and also additional proficiency. I hope that you guys know what this means. Ladies, I already have the P up here. We have pride in the pack, right? So we're going to start off and say that the P starts off as what word?
Positive.
Thank you, Ms. Jira. Yes, positive. So we talk about having a culture of success here at Basha Elementary School, showing pride in the pack. That's something we started 6 years ago when I became principal. We created this acronym, and it's something we kind of walk through the halls and discuss, and hopefully your students also come home and talk to you about it. But being positive, achieving, do you know the C? Compassionate. Compassionate. Kids. If you come to any of our assemblies, we like to have them be more energetic assemblies, but also teach the students audience etiquette, showing that how to behave while you're in school, as well as when you are out in the community doing different things and representing Basha Elementary School. But this is just our culture of success. This is where we ground ourselves as far as our values and our beliefs. So what I decided to do is, through the layout of this particular PowerPoint, is just take each of those components and say, what are we doing that's positive? So let me give you kind of that year in review. So I'll switch over to this side here. So we have several things that we do. We have weekly PAC awards that we that actually have incorporated some of the second step vocabulary, and we'll talk about second step in a little bit. That's new this year, not the PAC awards, but adding that second step piece and making sure that we read those on the announcements. I'll read them on the announcements every Friday, and every single child that gets a PAC award gets to be recognized, which is awesome. Raise your hand in the room if you've received a PAC award.
I think she has, but I'm not sure.
Amazing. Okay, so every student, just for the record in the video, every student in this room has received a PAC award. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
congratulations to those students. Semester, we do semester awards for kinder through third and quarterly award assemblies for 4th through 6th, and that is our honor roll, principals list, also attendance piece, which is sometimes a struggle for me because if they're sick, we really don't want them in school, but attendance is one of those success indicators to make sure that they actually go through that K-12 system and they graduate, so that's why there's importance on there. So if you have people within the community that are saying, hey, why, attendance, is that something we really want to focus and give them the word out for? Yes, because we want people to come to school. So that is something that we recognize in our semester and quarterly awards, as well as the Pride Award, which means it's that behavior piece, behaviors of expectation in also our special area classes too. So like music, PE, library, technology, so it's that all-encompassing, showing positive pride. Next we have a semesterly very important person award breakfast. So it's a VIP breakfast. We do this twice a year. It's pretty amazing. If you've been there, it's kind of formal, and teachers recognize one student each semester for being a very important person. So it's not focused just upon the academic strengths. It's that all-around kiddo that you know has really strived to be an amazing student, whether that be academically or helping out their classmates. A lot of teachers use the students in the class to nominate who those kiddos are. And so we invite them in, and each teacher speaks a little bit about the student, why they were nominated, and why they're receiving the award. So it's a pretty special moment if you ever get to have the opportunity to come. We also do classroom recognition, various classroom recognition pieces, and the AAA Awards, which is a district piece. And so one student each year is recognized, and that's through a nomination system. Our teachers nominate who those kiddos are. There's a committee, we review all the applications, and then they're chosen as AAA award winners. Staff recognition, oh, I was gonna hit that early. I think it's important too to recognize that staff are really important, and I know our PTO, so thank you PTO members for every month organizing something for our staff, so they're all recognized in making sure that they are mostly nourished, because you provide pretty wonderful food for them. So on top of that wonderful food once a month, we do have a weekly thank you teacher segment, which I do on the announcements, and that's just a genuine thank you, and they get a little pin and a little note from me. Teacher of the month, and then they get a parking spot. So that teacher of the month parking spot is really for a teacher. I am not kidding. I have a couple of friends who are like, hey, is that really for a teacher? I'm like, yes, it is, and please don't take it, because that's really an uncomfortable conversation to have somebody read it. And then they also get, Garcia is one of our sponsors, and they allow us to have a dinner to give to our teacher of the month, which is kind of neat. We do Bobcat growls, which I think are important for you to know, is that we have what are called growls, and at each staff meeting, teachers recognize other teachers for something they've done, whether they've taken a duty, or they've helped them problem solve student behavior, or helped with instruction pieces. So that's kind of neat, as well as AAA. So when I was writing this positive piece about all these positive things that we do as far as recognition, I got to community and I'm like, we do the volunteer team, which is great. It's at the end of the school year, and AAA, but really this is an area of focus possibly for us as staff, for us to say, what do we do to recognize some of our members in the community? And we do send thank you notes here and there, but we talked about this at our executive meeting. Sometimes you all don't get to see those thank you notes, so we're going to have to look at how we can do that a little bit better. So with the vision and review of what we've done in the previous year, I think that's important in the culture of Basha's staff, is we're constantly reflecting and trying to be better at what we do. Achieving. See that little emblem right there? Love it. I'm going to pull all of them up. I think that's it. Okay. So a couple things that I want to share with you, if you don't already know that we do. We have we participate in, and it's not a program, it's something that we do here. We have sacred time throughout the day, 30 minutes in all of our grade levels, where we provide tiered intervention for students. So if we've tested them either through DIBELS, Galileo assessments, summative assessments, the teachers have given observations, we have different classrooms that they rotate to receive that instruction, which is typically intervention, and sometimes enrichment, depending on where their needs are. So we have tier 1, which typically happens in the classroom. Tier 2 is like a double dose of tier 1, and then tier 3 is during that RTI time where they move and try to backfill some of those pieces. So it could be fluency, it could be comprehension. For math, I know 3rd grade had math facts, so they had multiplication, several multiplication pieces, as well as division, because that's where they get that multiplication, introduction to multiplication, so they have those remediation pieces. So we look at the kids' needs and create that tiered system, and that's why I feel our growth scores are where they are. I've shared with you, I think, previously, our growth scores, as far as state testing goes, they're pretty amazing. Our proficiency scores, we're always working to strive to get them higher, but it's nice to see that our kids are always making growth. And I attribute that to our tiered system. And then I mentioned a couple of systems. ATI, that's ATI Galileo. We do benchmarks testing, and that's a district piece. It's not a Basha particular piece. So we have a pre-assessment, quarterly benchmarks, and then the post-assessment. But teachers are constantly using this, creating their own assessments in classes. You may even see dialogues being used throughout the school day, or we can create formative assessments to be used in RTI too. So that skill deficit, that's the way that we're tracking whether or not they're making growth. Not in every grade level, mostly in the intermediates. That's just right from the beginning and beyond. That's the binder. Doesn't mean anything other than it's a pretty wonderful program. Do you guys have anything to say about right from the beginning, how it's helped you in your writing?
No.
No? What about thinking maps?
Yeah, they have.
Thinking maps have?
What about you?
Timmy? A circle map is a thinking map, and that's a common vocabulary that we've created. Every year when we come back to school, teachers are given a memo and saying this week, because we have new kiddos that come every year, Week 1, we start out introducing one map, then we go a full 8 weeks reintroducing all the maps so that there is that common vocabulary to catch kids that are coming in, and then those students that already have that knowledge are reinforced. So it's kind of nice. Kind of nice it is nice. Then the last thing that we have up here too is we participate in cluster groupings as far as our gifted clusters. So in 3rd through 6th grade, we have teachers that are gifted endorsed through the State Department of Education. And actually in 3rd grade, they either are endorsed or they're working on it. And the only teacher that I have that's working on it is 3rd grade right now. She's working on her endorsement. But we have students decide to stay here that are identified gifted instead of going to a self-contained gifted class, but being all together in that class so that the ILP, Individualized Learning Plan, is followed. And there's different constraints for differentiation. Instead of 80-20, 80% of use of our resources, it's 60-40. So there's a little bit of give in that class. And that's not just for gifted students. That's for any student, but it allows us to really differentiate for those students that need that extension. Also achieving. Do any of you ladies, gentlemen know what this is right here? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay. You may know some of these people here. Possibly you, Ms. Slater. So this, as far as innovating, we have several things that we're doing here that we've been recognized as being innovating. One of the things that we're trying to do is integrate a little more technology, integrate a little more real-life experiences for kiddos, whether it's in a club before school, after school. Our media club has had field trips to Chandler High, Hamilton, to look at their newsrooms, as well as sometimes the different news stations. It didn't happen this year, but previously we've been able to do that. And this one we want to highlight. We want to highlight this year our 3D printing club that Ms. Val, she's doing 2 3D printing clubs. And there's different levels. The entry level that we had last year, now they've grown, so now we're at a different level here. We have different presenters come in. She's very wonderful at bringing presenters in, and actually, this is Mr. Slater right here. And he works in medical field, and from what I understand, because I wasn't there that morning, it was the 3D creation of prosthetics. Did I get that correct? Okay, good. So he was showing the kids kind of what to do, and from what Ms. Fowl said is they were hands-on, and they were putting things together and really got, as you can tell, they're completely engaged. So in talking to my own kiddos and just some of the Basha kiddos, I think sometimes that they don't know, we don't even know what the jobs are going to be when they get to that point where they get to have a job or be part of the workforce. So to expose them to different ideas is pretty amazing that, wow, that could happen. This one is another one of our parents, Mr. Brennan. He is a dentist or maybe orthodontist. If you're watching this, I apologize if I got it wrong. He works in the dental profession, and what he's doing is we received permission to scan kiddos' mouths, and just showing how that works and how you can create 3D images from that scan. So he actually brought his instruments in here just like Mr. Slater, which is wonderful. And then this is actually something that's done in the class. I think I have 2 4th graders here today, right? Mm-hmm. Does any of my 4th graders want to share what these are right here? What's that picture of?
They're 3D printed clouds.
It's what, Matilda?
We were doing an innovation fair, so we made and researched clouds, and so we then 3D printed them.
Now I was in the classroom when, I think it was Ms. Carlson's class was creating these clouds. How did you do it? What program did you use? Do you remember?
We used Tinkercad.
Tinkercad. So this is something that's happening in the classroom, not necessarily before and after school in the 3D printing club too. We're trying to integrate as much as we possibly can. Their science curriculum was talking about clouds, cloud formation. They got to actually create it in Tinkercad, print it off, and they will be highlighted at the Innovation Fair on February 23rd at Hamilton High School. So we're pretty proud of, yes, we're proud of Ms. Val, the board students. Great. And we're going to keep continuing. So we've had conversations about what do we do to make this, to see that there's like a keystone project in every grade level that's developmentally appropriate, because kinder might be a little bit of a challenge. We're looking at a volume 1 for 5th grade and how we print something. Here's this problem. How do you solve this problem? How do you create it with a 3D printer? And it's a cylindrical volume question. So we're working on that here because these are new resources, because we also have to align them to standards, but we want to start, not that we haven't, but we want to increase our focus on thinking and innovation here at Basha. Now we get to the C in PAC. Stands for compassionate. Those are all my friends' fingers, except for that one that's mine, because I couldn't get my friend to make the O. So I'd stay right in front of the shirt. Some of the things that we do here is we focus on not just what we're doing here. We try to make sure that there's a little bit, there's a reach out, that we understand a little bit more about our community, and that we're doing more things to integrate into our community. So I will say that in reflection, looking back at last year's piece, we've done a little bit less with this compassionate component, but I will tell you it's because we're really focusing on our environment, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. So we did collect 77 turkeys, Chandler Care Center, for their Thanksgiving Day Assistance Program. Next year we won't do it so early, so there's actually turkeys in their frozen food section. You know, things that you reflect on, right? We did collect about 200 toys for the holiday toy drive, and then our course, we try to make sure that they go to an assisted living. I don't believe it was Ocotillo Village, it was the new one that I don't remember the name of, but that's kind of nice. They're going to try to walk there next year too. And then the last thing that we have is teaching using various lenses of equity, which creates that compassion piece. Our focus as a district has been a focus on equity this year. It's always, we constantly do the instructional piece, but we really want to focus on equity and what does that look like, and what does your background have to add to this particular subject, or what can you add? How do we bring in kids' culture? So that's been pretty wonderful as we focus on our educational environment and really focus on what are we doing inside the classroom to value students and ourselves. What's this, ladies? Have you seen this before?
Yeah.
What is it?
Step by step.
Step by step, it's second step, right?
Yeah.
But very popular. Tell me a little bit about what happens in your class, the second step.
Sometimes we learn about one word that shows compassion, and we watch a video about it, and then normally our class makes like a thinking map.
She didn't know she was going to be a part of this presentation. None of you did, and you guys do an awesome job. Thanks for helping me out. So second step, you're absolutely right. Second step is a social emotional program. You'll hear about social emotional learning a lot. It's that foundational component where we teach empathy, emotional management, problem solving, and friendship skills. So we talk about compassionate when we have been doing a lot of outreach in the past several years. Now it's time to look introspectively and say, okay, what can we do better with ourselves? What can we do with our interactions, our student interactions? Because we looked at discipline data, we looked at just friendships and things like that when we were reviewing for this year, and realized that we really needed to do something special here. We do have a diverse population. I mean, like demographically diverse and instructionally we differentiate. So we needed to make sure that there's also a common vocabulary, not just instructionally, but also for social emotional learning. So this is the first year. We were one of 3 schools in the Chandler Unified School District that are piloting this program. So we have just teachers are in the middle of completing a survey. They did a pre-survey now. I will tell you that the survey results that I'm getting, that some teachers implement it with fidelity more than others. And that's just par for the course, and that's okay. That's good to be honest and say, okay, what can we do better? We need to do some of those follow-up activities. It's a 30-minute lesson. It could have a video, or it could just be a 30-minute lesson that is from the program, and then there's follow-up activities throughout the 5 days. And it's a monthly focus. I believe this month is emotional management. Am I right? Okay, you'll get there. The teacher's gonna get there.
You're talking about embarrassment in classrooms. Monday.
So good example, talking about embarrassment. Some of those pieces that kids don't always get insight at home about. And I know Ms. Slater, you sent me an email just about how effective some of the homework that's being sent home is, like in conversation at home. So, and not all of our teachers do that, but I take those emails and I read the staff meetings to encourage other teachers. Hey, this works, or hey, this is a positive thing that we're doing. And so lighting that fire. And I think that for the majority, the staff is really excited about this program. Today I was looking at our disciplinary referrals, so I took last year's to this year. We had over 200 by this time of the year, and currently we have 80. So I can't attribute all of that to the second step program, but I can say that I want to believe that there's a little bit of difference because we have this program. All right, communication. That is not part of PACK, but that's okay. I added it in here anyway. I wanted to put this in here because I hope that you see in our conversations that it's been 6 years. I feel like you're part of my extended family, just like all the kids here at Basha Elementary School. But I want to make sure there's still that communication, that we have that communication, that if there's something that doesn't sit right with you as a parent, or the community, please bring it to me because we can't get better without feedback. So we do have parent surveys. Those typically go out once a year. They're sent out from the district, but we'll use Infinite Campus to send those out, but they're very important. Last year we had about 180 parents respond, which was better than the previous year, but still we have 670 kids. So, I mean, yeah, then you have that. I mean, that's not awful. We would like to see more, so if you can, make sure that your neighbors, your friends, and all of your connections are taking that survey, that'd be great. We do have our webpage. Our webpage is really just blanket information. We do have brags that are updated. If you submit, you can submit a brag to our webpage, which is really nice when we see a brag from a parent. We do some brags and try to add pictures as well, but our web pages, I would say, aren't as robust as our weekly Infinite Campus blasts. If you really want to know what's going on this campus every Friday, sometimes Monday if Danelle's out, which is rare, but you will get an Infinite Campus blast regarding what's happening the next week, what you may need to know, but that's just our main line of communication. PTO, our fantastic PTO members, they have a Facebook, and trending now is
Pictures of
donuts.
parties.
Donut parties from
Donut
Basha.
parties.
I also have a Twitter account, and I know PTO has a Twitter account too. My Twitter account is more so not informational. It will just be little things that I see that I think are pretty neat. So I don't post often, but when I do, they might be a little random. But they're fun. They're things that I find like, oh, if a parent were here at school, or if the parents knew we did this, or community, or whomever, it's little things I want you guys to know what we're doing. So please make sure that the message, see how it kind of goes back to sender and receiver, that we have open lines of communication. I feel that we have a culture of being transparent. If something's not working right, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to give you the solution. Here's how we're going to fix it. And I might need your help along the way. So please provide feedback. And that ends, I forgot to say the K, so kids is somewhere in here. Kids, it's all about kids. I understand as a mother of four how important it is that you leave your children with us every day, my staff, my support staff, and everybody. So I thank you for trusting us with your precious babies. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But that ends our 6th annual Basha address.